live and we're back. We're live and we're back. Oh my God. Excuse me. What the heck? I just choked on my spit out of nowhere. We're here. We're live. Boxing Fanatico, episode 42 on our road to episode 50 and then episode 100 as we keep powering through with these live episodes. Love to see it. Thank you for you guys coming out. Let's go ahead and switch over to my base real quick. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Boxing Fanatico Live. Today we're going to talk about something important. It looks like Terence Crawford is going to retire. All indicators are pointing towards retirement. But before we start that, we got to start with Hashim's 47. Let's go, champ. Thank you so much, brother, for coming in here. Always the first one, always on time, and always livening up the chat with a inaugural Let's Go, champ. But we also got to do something special because we do it all the time. We also have to start with Michael Buffer. Let's go ahead and bring Michael Buffer on here real quick to start the show. Let's get ready to rumble is right. All right, let's look at the chat real quick. Like I said, we got to talk about this. It's really important. It looks to me like Terence Crawford is he's probably going to retire very, very, very soon, which is a little bit of a bummer, but we need to talk about it because it's important for the landscape of boxing and for where he will land in terms of all-time greatness. Let me get a drink of water real quick before we start. And let's go ahead and go to the chat real quick. Thank you so much, Ep.42 for that. Adrian Dones, welcome back from the vacation. It was an amazing vacation, by the way. Went to Jamaica. I was in Jamaica for about 5 days. Had a blast. It was super fun. Me, the kids, the wife, we had an amazing time. So yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the live stream a bunch of times while I was over there. I'm like, damn, man, I wish I could go live today, and I wish I could go live today. But listen, sometimes you gotta have the little breaks. You know what I mean? But we back and we're stronger than ever, especially after that Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence fight. ASVP TV, what's going on, brother? What's up? You right on time. We need to abolish these PED allegations from Spence fans. Hold up. There's PED allegations that Terence Crawford was using PEDs. What's the reason for these allegations? Because the before, when he was knocking literally every single person out at welterweight, they were saying he's just knocking them out because they're bums. Now it's because of PEDs, even though he ain't never test positive for PEDs after doing VADA and WADA. He ain't never test positive, but now we got to go to the PEDs. We got to go to the PEDs for 500. Come on now. Can't do that. Hugh Jakes, hold up. The member, we got to make sure we give him the member celebration. Hugh Jakes. What's going on, brother? What's good? My boy Fanatico just got back from vacation. Yes, just got back from vacation. It was a beautiful, beautiful vacation. What's good? What's going on, Johnny Hall? A certain YouTube channel is accusing Crawford of PEDs because he endorses the snack program. Is the snack program under controversy? First of all, endorsing something does not mean that you use it or take it or you live by it. You're making money by it. Do you guys really think that Terence Crawford loves Prime with a passion so much that he needed to buy a gold chain that says Prime with diamonds on it and drink Prime at every single point, even right after he won? The first bottle he grabbed wasn't water, it was Prime. Do you think Bud Crawford likes Prime that much, or do you think Prime paid Bud Crawford to do those things? Being a sponsor doesn't mean that you're a person that's an avid user or that you're a part of that you've built the company. No, you're just a sponsor. The things aren't all the way connected to your convenience every single time. Just because you see something, you connect very easily, very, very lazy dots to assume something. Now, I don't know what's going on with Snack. I've not heard anything weird about Snack personally, but I'll definitely look into the whole Snack thing to see if there's something there. But I haven't heard anything about Snack specifically. But either way, you know who else promotes Snack? Devin Haney. And Devin Haney could try his best. No matter what you do, he rarely gets a knockout. So is Devin Haney on PEDs? And if he's on PEDs, is his PEDs not working? I don't know. How does that work? Just because you sponsor Snack, you automatically on PEDs? Or is he not on PEDs, but he sponsors Snack, but then Terence Crawford is on? You see how things start to fall apart once you actually just look at the bigger picture and don't try to force a narrative for things to happen. Just give the man his props. He beat Errol Spence fair and square. We don't hear Buffer, but faintly heard the horn. Oh, really? Didn't hear Buffer. Hold on. Let me make sure that now we got to get it. Well, now we got to do everything back.
Ladies
back
and gentlemen.
Again. The reason you faintly heard the horn was because it was in my...
Let's get ready to rumble!
And we got to do the member. We got to bring it back. Thank you, Hugh Jakes. The buffer sound was very low. Yeah, it was because it was just coming out of my headphones. I respect you 100% from watching your videos. That made me want to get into the boxing game community and the boxing community in general. That's what I love. I love that crossover. That's why I think boxing video games are super important in terms of fostering a community of new fans. Because one thing that boxing is doing good, it's doing really well now because of the whole influencer boxing and the whole crossover stuff. Younger people are caring about the sport. And even though people want to gatekeep and pretend, no, we don't want these younger people because they only really care about the KSIs and the Jake Paul. That's not true. There's people that watch that and say, hey, I want to see what this is like on the highest level. I'm starting to understand it. This was a gateway to me looking at this. I find enjoyment in this. I like this back and forth. Let me see what happens with people that's doing it at the highest level. What's the biggest pay-per-view fight that's next? Oh, Tank versus Ryan Garcia. Okay, I'm gonna watch that. What's the next one? Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. I'm gonna watch that. Who's this Canelo guy? Hear a lot about him. Oh, he gonna fight in September. Okay, cool. I'm gonna watch that. Let me just make sure I set my calendar. This is a little bit fun. I like this. That's how it happens. It's a transition period. The thing is, young people, young kids didn't care at all for boxing, which meant an inevitable mega decline. I wouldn't say death because death is hard, but an inevitable mega decline after the old people pass away. Who's gonna watch the boxing? No one, because there was never something that gave them an incentive to start watching the sport. The sport was even when I was young, I was like, when I was talking about boxing, because I was even talking about boxing, a lot of people don't know this, but I've been talking about boxing on YouTube back since 2008, back since 2009. I used to talk about boxing even when you couldn't get paid on YouTube. There was no partnership program when I started talking about boxing, and you didn't have to do much to get a lot of views. I would get 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 views back then, and adjusted for view inflation in terms of how many people use the platform, that's like getting 200 to 300,000 views now per video. And I would do that just talking about boxing, but it was the old heads that was there. It was not, I was like the youngest one there talking about it. No one else cared. And even my friends, they only watched it when I was like, hey, look, this is a fight we need to watch. Let's come to the house. We're doing a fight party. No one really, paid attention to it. Now, because they're seeing this and they're having fun with that, they want more of it. They want to see it at the highest level possible. It starts to trigger something where they become interested in the sport overall. So I think it's an actual amazing thing. And I think that video games also does that for boxing. I think that helps a lot. I mean, when the Fight Night series was out, boxing was, popping, right? But who's to say? Maybe, we had Floyd Mayweather. He was a star. He left. And then after him, nobody beat him. So he never passed the torch on. And so we had to have a little bit of a rebuilding phase. Who knows? But all in all, the more younger people you get in through any means necessary, through video games, through influencer boxing, it opens up the door to the actual sport itself. Hood plays, sup Fanatico, did you see Jake Paul versus Nate? I did. By the way, should I count this? If I count that fight, that brings my prediction to 7 predictions in a row, since I predicted that Jake Paul was going to beat Nate Diaz. However, Nate did better than I expected. I thought he was going to get knocked out. He didn't get knocked out. He did better than I expected. He did get knocked down, and ironically, it was from a left hook. So the last 2 fights, Jake Paul has knocked down his opponents with his left hand. He knocked down Tommy Fury with a jab, and he knocked down Nate Diaz with a left hook. Is it that his right hook has become so, like, there's a target on it, everyone is expecting it, that they're not paying so much attention to his left hand? Because I'm telling you, the last few fights, he's been knocking out people with his left hand. I think he also knocked down Anderson Silva with a jab. So he's knocking down Anderson Silva with a jab, Tommy Fury with a jab, and then Nate Diaz with a left hook. So his right hand, what's going on with the right hand? He was supposed to, he got the Z's on this hand, not on this hand. So why he dropping people with this one? I don't know. I think what's happening is that people are focusing too much on his right hand. He still needs a lot of improvement, though. He needs a lot of improvement. That Nate Diaz, really, he blew his tank. You could tell he was really good when he was really good, like when he had a lot of energy, but he blew his tank so early. In the first round, he basically started blowing his tank, and he just started throwing, everything, and the kitchen sink at Nate Diaz. And I think that worked against him throughout the course of the fight. He still is not good with the conditioning. He still needs to work on the conditioning, but he did do 10 rounds, so this is definitely going to help him, because there's the jitters and the nerves of fighting in front of a crowd. You actually could get tired much quicker. Hello, bro. I asked them, since Spence had OnlyFans on his trunk in the past, does that mean he indulges himself in that type of content of hypocrisy? Yeah, just call me ASAP. All right, I have to remember that, ASAP. So the V actually stands for A. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people be having OnlyFans all the time on their trunk. You know what I'm saying? People be having Fashion Nova all the time on their trunk when we watching these fights. Doesn't mean that they wear Fashion Nova. I never see Danny Garcia wear Fashion Nova. Even like, do they? I think they just started a Fashion Nova line for men, but I don't know. For a long time, it was just for women, and boxers still had the Fashion Nova logo. Does that mean they're wearing Fashion Nova? No, they're just promoting the company because the company or the business offered them a certain amount that was good. Does Floyd Mayweather exclusively eat Burger King? You know what I'm saying? Does Floyd Mayweather exclusively only eat from Burger King? I highly doubt it. If anything, I think, what was it? Whataburger, I think he said was his favorite burger that's in Vegas. He doesn't eat Burger King like that. But they said, hey, look, we pay you $1 million just to come out with the Burger King. And he said, yeah, sure, I'll come out with the Burger King. Now, does it mean he a fast food aficionado that only eat Burger King all the time? No, that's not how it works. Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. We fix it. I think the absolute maximum fights Bud will have is 3. The more likely number is 2, being the rematch and Jermell. Okay. Did you watch the H2O fight? Oh, man, is smooth. Oh, yeah. I saw it on the undercard. It was on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. Yeah, he was good. He was switching a lot. And he was being effective when switching. He was good, but we need to see him in there with much more tougher competition, much more tougher competition. Yeah, Jake needs more improvement in terms of skill in boxing, like conditioning, speed, strength, all of that. And to be fair, for his fight with Nate, he got a new team, so he's getting used to his team. Not taking anything away from Jake. He in terms of how he's learned, I think he's learned exponentially fast, but I think he was like this in terms of learning, and now he's plateauing a little bit more. He's gonna have to do different things. That little bit to go from not knowing how to box to being decent at boxing is a big jump that could happen much quicker. But from going from being decent at boxing to being really good technically, that's an incremental thing that takes much longer. It's almost the same as building muscle, where you could build muscle quickly in the beginning, your first year, from the shock and from just never doing it before. And that big transition is going to show a massive difference. But over time, the changes become much slower and it's much more below that just noticeable difference. So he's going to have to keep working at it. I don't see him beating Canelo, or what he said, in 2026 or 2027. I think that is. I don't think that he will ever get into that point. In my opinion, I don't think he'll ever be at the point where he could beat a Canelo. Do I think he could get to a point where he could beat a professional boxer? Yes. Do I think he could get to a point where he could beat top 10 fighters and stuff like that, and top 15 fighters? I don't think so. But he could prove me wrong. Let's see. He definitely has the money to get the best training in the world, but he started, I think, a little bit too late. And if you start late, you have to have some super gift to be able to push you all the way to the point where you're exceptional. Deontay Wilder started late, so don't get me wrong, but his super gift is that he's probably the most powerful puncher in the history of the sport. So that's a big deal, right? That helped him a lot, and it hid a lot of his faults. But when things hit the fan and he's not able to rely on that power, you could see how things deteriorate. So I think that with Jake Paul, I don't know if he has any super power. Can he knock people out? Yes. Is it like world beating where like Deontay Wilder literally knocked down everybody he ever fought and knocked out 99% of everybody he fought minus Tyson Fury? Bud got to at least fight Jermell before he retires. Undisputed in 3 divisions will cement him as a great. But here's another thing, Adrian Jones. Jermell ain't going to be undisputed. After the ring walk, they're going to announce him as undisputed for the ring walk. And then literally right after the entrances, they're going to strip him of, I believe it's the WBA title that's going to be stripped. So he actually won't be undisputed. He would actually have to do another fight to be undisputed, which will be anticlimactic, in my opinion, if he fights Jermell and then he fights Tim Tszyu, for example, for the additional title. Fernay Zachariah, what's up? Boxing Fanatico, greetings from LA, brother. What's going on, brother? Just stopping by to say what's up. Can't stick around for this live today, unfortunately. No worries, man. You can watch it. You can watch the live. The lives are always taped, so you could always come back and watch it when it's done, when it's all said and done. I respect Jake. I have no interest in watching him fight. Yeah. I mean, listen, I watch it from the entertainment factor. This is why I always tell people if they ever feel weird about watching. And I don't know if you just feel weird or you just don't want to watch it because it's just not your thing. But I say it like this. When I look at influencer boxing, crossover boxing, and then Jake Paul, because I think that there's levels, right? There's the influencer boxing scene, and then there's Jake Paul, and then there's boxing. So the influencer boxing scene to me is in a lower tier because they only fight each other, while Jake Paul is out here fighting KSI is about to fight Tommy Fury, which is actually pretty impressive. But Jake Paul is generally fighting people outside of the YouTube sphere, right? He's fighting MMA fighters. He's fighting the Nate Diaz's, the Tyron Woodleys, the Anderson Silvas, right? So I look at Jake as a level above that, but I look at both of those things as completely different forms of entertainment that just simply have boxing as a theme, right? So what do I mean? This is an easy way to conceptualize it. When you watch Creed or Rocky, those are movies that are not actually fighters trying to rank at the WBC rankings or the IBF rankings or the WBO. They're not trying to rank in that. It's just a movie. That's all it is. Just a movie. But because I like boxing, I tend to like boxing movies like $1 Million Baby or Raging Bull, right? Or the Muhammad Ali movies, right? The one with Will Smith. They're interesting to me because it has a theme of boxing, even though I know that what I'm watching is not actually affecting the rankings in boxing. They're not connected to that. It's just a movie. Rocky is just a movie, right? Creed is just a movie. But when I watch them, I enjoy them because I like boxing and it has a theme of boxing. Just like playing boxing video games. I enjoy them because they have a theme of boxing and it's a video game, even though it's not necessarily affecting real life boxing. That's literally how I see Jake Paul and KSI. I don't think they really affect boxing in the sense of the ranking system, but I do think they have an added element of affecting boxing positively by bringing in new fans. So there's a double reason why I appreciate their existence in the sport and why I even sometimes indulge in watching them, because I don't look at it too seriously like I'm looking at real professional boxing. I watch Jake like I'm watching Creed. I watch Jake like I'm watching $1 Million Baby or the Ali movies. That's how I watch these guys and how I look at it. It's just pure entertainment to me. Good scenario for Bud. Beat Spence in a rematch, beat Tim, then hope Canelo doesn't beat Charlo too bad, and then Bud beats Charlo. Best case is no Spence rematch and go straight to Tim. Okay. Jake's superpower is making money. Yo, that is his superpower. You're right, Mr. Nobody. That's his superpower. He just makes money hand over fist. He just always figures it out. He always, like, no matter where he is, if he's on Vine, he gonna figure it out. If he's on YouTube, he gonna figure it out. If he's boxing, he gonna figure it out. If he's a promoter, he gonna figure it out. He just figures it out. Buzz should grab the vacant belt, then fight Jermell next year. Terence Epps, what up, Fanatico? What's going on, Terence Epps? What's up? Prince, you're just got a haircut, got effed up. I'm damn near bald. Oh, damn, they messed you up like that, bro. I mean, I got a shape up. I still got my long hair. It's just braided. I just did 2 braids. Even if it might look like I cut my hair, I didn't cut my hair. I just braided to go on my vacation. Did you see the sparring video of Pereira beating up some amateurs in the gym? MMA fanboys are wetting their pants, going on and on about how great he is at boxing. I did see it where he's like, see, the thing with him is that Jose Pereira, or is that his name, right? Jose Pereira? He has a lot of power, right? And he could take punches. So he'll have his hands down and just take these punches because it's sparring. He's not winning or losing anything. But definitely didn't seem like Alex Pereira, there we go. It didn't seem like he was defensively responsible. Was he getting hit back? No. But maybe he was hitting so hard, people were just focusing on defense, right? Maybe he was just, he could take punches that it wasn't even worth it. If you landed something and he's hitting you hard, you finally land something, and he's just like, it doesn't bother me. I'm just going to keep walking you down. Those are elements that people think about, especially when it's sparring. You can't really win. So, yeah, I think if he did that against somebody who's really good in boxing, I think it would be game over for him, in my opinion. I don't feel weird watching him. I just love boxing as a sport, not just entertainment. Jake's an entertainer, not an up-and-coming fighter. All due respect to him and anyone who enjoys watching him. They're stripping him of the WBO belt, I think, which would upgrade Tim from interim to actual WBO champ. So Bud will have to fight him if he wants undisputed status. Okay, so Bud Crawford was, first of all, this is the weird dichotomy of Bud Crawford after fighting Spence. He is 3 times or 10 times more popular now after the fight. He is like 10 times more popular. The man was on CBS in the morning, a morning show. He was on a morning show. You don't believe me? Let's switch to picture-in-picture. My man is on a morning show. He's on a morning show chilling, answering questions on CBS in the mornings. The weird dichotomy of like, in his mind, he's accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He wanted the Spence fight. To him, that was the pinnacle. But to the world, he's just getting started. So I find it to be so sad that that disconnect is there, that it took so long for Terence Crawford to get his credit. Because of a lot of politics had to do with that. A lot of politics. He didn't get to fight the best fighters in the world all the time. Sometimes he did, but a lot of times, most of the times he didn't, because most of the best welterweights were in the PBC, so he never got to fight them. So now that he beat Spence, this man is uber popular. And it's not just me anecdotally saying this. Let's look at Google Trends. This is Terence Crawford from July, his July numbers. So the way Google Trends works is that 100 is your peak, most popular time you've ever been in your entire life. Like if you ever become famous and they start to Google you and search you up and all this stuff, you're going to see these peaks and valleys of when you were popular, and you're going to always have one that's always at 100, and all the other ones are respective to that. Nothing even compares. This is like 3 times the amount of everything else over here. More than 3 times. I'm bugging. It's like 6 times the amount. Yeah, this is like 7 times the amount of everything over here. Right here is when he fought in November, when he fought Sean Porter. And then the next one where he was the most popular, the third one, was when he fought Amir Khan. So he fought Amir Khan. Then he had a little bit of a lull. He fought, I believe this one in 2020, November, was when he fought Kell Brook. Then he fought Sean Porter. I believe this was the Sean Porter fight. I could be wrong. On that one. I think that was, or this could have been it. Either way, like I think this was the one. This was the one, November 2021, when he fought Sean Porter. Yeah. So then he got this little bit of a hike, and then he fights Errol Spence, and now this dude is going to the moon. So I think he can make the most money that he's ever made if he keeps on fighting. That I truly believe he can make the most money that he's ever made if he keeps on fighting. Because right now he's at his most popular. But he spoke on the Porter Wade podcast, and he stated, let's switch over. I still got this up. And he stated that he's going to retire. I believe that he's going to have one more fight and then he's going to retire. I believe he's going to have one more fight and then he's going to retire. That's my honest belief, because Errol Spence Jr., Floyd Mayweather was interviewed by Fight Hype in his mansion, in his house. And he was asked, where do you think Errol Spence should be fighting at? Floyd said that Errol Spence should be fighting at 168. He said he should be going up like 2 weight classes, 160 or 168. That lets me think that the unthinkable, which I thought was impossible, this is how you monetize. I'm telling you, you got to find a way to monetize Errol Spence after the loss. This is how it looks like they're trying to monetize him. Canelo Alvarez has a 3-fight deal, so they're going to move him up. He already lost. It's a win-win for everybody. He's still a big name. It could be a redemption story that they could use because he's a big, and they'll have Canelo versus Errol Spence. I do not believe, because Errol Spence, by the way, guys, has yet to activate the rematch clause. He said he will do it. He said he would do it, but he has yet to actually activate it. He just said that he was going to do it. I think that they're talking to him. There was a lot of ego when he was in the ring post-fight, and they're telling him, there's no point in doing this rematch. It won't even be for undisputed. You're gonna go to 154. It's just a fight for nothing, to prove nothing really, because the fight was not very competitive. And I think that when they sit down, his team talks to him and they're like, let's look at the path where you could do one more thing and then leave the sport, but do the one more thing that's going to be the most financially viable for you to do before you leave. And the one more thing is not going to be fighting Terence Crawford, because there's not going to be any interest in that. What the one more thing that he could do, especially for his fans, for a lot of people, is a Canelo fight, because Canelo versus Errol Spence will be very intriguing, and they could sell it like, oh, this is where he actually is the most comfortable, right? He's the most comfortable at this weight. He's been killing himself for years at 147. So I think that's going to be the move. I think the move is going to be not a Bud Crawford fight. It's going to be a Canelo Alvarez fight, and it's going to be one of those 3 fights that Canelo Alvarez has, right, with the PBC. They're going to try to set up an Errol Spence fight, because they can make a lot of money with a Jamel fight and a lot of money with an Errol Spence fight, right? So I think that that's the route that they might go with Errol Spence. And I think that Errol Spence is not going to really entertain that rematch. So my guess is that Bud Crawford is going to move up to 154. He's going to fight Jermell for 3 belts, and he will end his career at 154. Sad, I know, but he said everything that you need to know in terms of where his mindset is at. He said it. They're like, hey, do you want to beat Floyd Mayweather's 50-0? Do you want to do 51-0? He said, nah. I'm never even thought of that. I've always said I never want to do that. I don't care to do that. So he ain't doing that. Did you ever think of fighting Canelo? Heck no. There's weight classes for a reason. I'm a little guy, really. This is like my 3rd weight class already. I'm not thinking of fighting Canelo. That's outside of the picture. So if he ain't fighting Canelo and he ain't going for Floyd's 50-0, there's literally no incentive anymore. He's going to get another 3rd division. He's going to be the only person. He's going to be on an island. He's going to be the only person to be undisputed in 3 divisions, right? No one's ever done it. If Jermell Charlo beats Canelo, he'll be the 2nd person to be undisputed in 2 divisions, but nobody's ever done it in 3 divisions. So if he somehow gets Jermell and maybe a Tim Tszyu, but I think that he's going to fight Jermell, he's going to get the 3 belts, and he's going to end his career right there. I think that's it. That's it. We're not going to see any more of Terence Crawford. And it sucks, right? It sucks because he's just now got famous. You know what I'm saying? Like, the boxing community knew him, but he's now on Good Morning America or CBS in the morning or on all of the popular, like, YouTube channels where they interview people in different sports and talk about different, and he's being talked about like crazy on ESPN and this, like he's finally famous. He's finally hit fame, and now he's like, now I'm done. It's like, bro, you could make so much more money. It could be so much more exciting things in the future, but it's his career. You know, it's not up to me or anyone to dictate what he does in his career. Jay Lau, who is he fighting next? He's probably, in my opinion, he's going to fight Jermell Charlo next. That's his next fight. The rematch, I don't believe is going to happen. I didn't realize until I checked the other day, but I've been watching Buzz since 2014 when he fought Ricky Burns. That was fire. He had a little bit of press when he did that because he went over to the UK to fight Ricky Burns and he beat him. But he didn't knock him out, and everyone thought that the judges were going to rob him, and the judges were honest, and even though they were UK judges, they gave it to Bud Crawford. That was actually really endearing to see that he was able to do his work and not worry that they was going to rob him, because the judges were actually there to be fair and honest, which you sometimes you don't see. We don't know yet. Supposed to be a rematch with Spence, but nothing officially announced. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. You guys know how my how accurate my predictions be. I'm calling it right now. His next fight is gonna be Jermell. He's gonna retire. Bud gained like 400K followers on Instagram after that fight. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, social media following doubled after the fight. I'm telling you, bro. I just showed y'all the Google trend. 100 versus 34 being the next highest. So that's like 7 times growth. That's exponential impact. That means, and that's a sample size of what the general public feels. If that many people are Googling your name, and that's just Googling the word Terence Crawford. That's just Googling Terence Crawford. So if that much people are Googling your name, now you are like in the pinnacle of where you can make the most money possible, right? I'm sure the Spence money was great, but if he fought Canelo, he would make a boatload of money, in my opinion. If he somehow figured out a way to get that fight to happen, he will make a boatload of money. But it's probably not going to happen. So we might as well just not talk about it. I've been watching. I actually think Spence can make some adjustments and make it way more competitive in a rematch. Still think Bud takes the W though. I don't think Errol Spence has enough tools in the toolbox to be able to do something different. I'm sure they're going to tell him stuff based off of the fight, which is going to give him a little bit of a edge against how he performed. Not an edge over Terence Crawford, but an edge over how he performed. But the thing is that Terence Crawford is an adjustment master, right? So it's not like, I'm sure Terence Crawford had other things that he didn't use in the back burner in the event that an adjustment was made by Errol Spence. And because Errol Spence, the fundamentals are very solid, but that ability to do extra things, the extra layer stuff, that thing that separates like really good fighters and all-time great fighters, he's going to come in with a plan to work around what happened to him, but then Bud is going to adjust to that, and then he's not going to have something else for that adjustment. And then it's going to still look the same, right? You're going to see him do different things. It's kind of like when Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury for the third time. You saw him do different things. You saw the jab in the body, right? But because it's not in him, it's not fully in him to be completely like, to change completely to the point where he could really overcome the skill gap between him and Tyson Fury. All you did was saw him do something different. He was fighting a little bit better. You could argue it was somewhat the same, but that they weren't willing to throw in the towel. So they gave him that opportunity to keep fighting. But it still was kind of the same narrative where Tyson Fury was getting the better of Deontay Wilder. I think the same thing would happen here. Errol Spence would do an adjustment to what he saw by studying what he saw. But the unfortunate thing is that once he gets in the ring and he does that adjustment, it's going to fall on deaf ears because Terence Crawford is going to have other things that he's going to pull out to be able to dismantle whatever offense Errol Spence brings to the table. Errol since Olympics, yeah, Errol. Oh, we got King Juice in the house. What's going on, brother? Very similar pro-career path between Andre and Bud. Yeah. But I would argue that Bud is more popular than Andre Ward was when Andre Ward beat Kovalev. Because when Andre Ward beat Kovalev, the pay-per-view numbers was like 160K. Something in that ballpark. 160, 170K. When Bud beat Spence, dang near 700,000 people watched that. And I'm sure more people watched it, right? Because there's fight parties, there's all these different things. So you multiply those numbers with a certain degree, and millions of people could have watched that fight. Plus people who pirate the fight, which shame on you if you pirated this fight because we wanted to get this thing to 1 million, but it is what it is. I would argue that Bud is more popular right now in this moment than Andre Ward was when Andre Ward beat Kovalev. Because Errol Spence I feel like Kovalev was not that popular as much as Errol Spence was. So to see, and then Andre Ward also had a little bit of trouble with Kovalev, right? It wasn't like an easy, he didn't like steamroll him the way Terence Bud Crawford did to Errol Spence. So it's one of those things where I think that Bud he has lightning in a bottle right now, and because in his mind he already had a trajectory, he's gonna go ahead and end his career. But I would love to see him just continue just a little bit more. Hit the 51-0? No, I'm not asking him to hit the 51-0, but do something really remarkable, so that we could have that all-time great conversation in a much more substance, right? Did Bud Crawford do amazing things? Yes. Did he do things that people never did? I would say that Bud Crawford is the 4-belt era king. He's definitely the 4-belt era king. But is that enough to say that he's one of the all-time greats? I don't know. Because resume matter, those kind of things. There's a lot of different things that matter in that equation. But is he an all-time great? Yes. Already, yes, I think he is. But where is he? Is he in the top 20? Is he in the top 30? Is he in the top 40, 50, 60? Where exactly is he? I don't know. And it's harder to put him higher when he doesn't have a super marquee fight, except Errol Spence, right? That's the only marquee fight. But if he can move up and do what one would feel would be the impossible and beat somebody like a Canelo, he might have a more substantive argument to that claim of being the all-time great. Is it true he wants to retire? Yes, he wants to retire. That fight don't make sense. Canelo is 168. Bud said he's only willing to move up to 154. Yeah. No, that we know that. But sometimes when you're trying to do something, stamp something and be great, you do things like move up to 168 and fight a Canelo Alvarez. Not that he doesn't need to by any stretch of the imagination. He doesn't need to do that. But if he does do that, that'll be like an insanely popular thing for him to do. Because it makes sense. Canelo is a very popular fighter. Canelo is the favorite. If you're smaller than Canelo by a lot, you're definitely going to be the underdog. And for you to pull out a win under those circumstances will be astronomical. Does it mean that it should happen? No. But if it somehow happens, then that'll be an amazing thing. People have come up from, being really low. I mean, Manny Pacquiao did 8 different divisions, right? Manny Pacquiao went all the way up to 152, right? Or 150. I think it was a catchweight of 150 to fight Antonio Margarito. So it can happen. People can do it. It's not impossible, but it's just not likely. Not likely. But if he was to do it, it would be a very powerful thing for him to do. Canelo versus Errol is cruelty. Yeah, see, but it is the thing. That's what was J Loud talking about Errol Spence going up to? That's what Floyd Mayweather is saying. And Floyd Mayweather is closer to that. He's closer to that conversation. He's closer to knowing if Errol Spence, what's Errol Spence walk around weight, right? He's closer to understanding what's Errol Spence a weight that he could get comfortable and still be in good fighting shape. He's closer than we are to knowing that. And Floyd Mayweather himself in the Fight Hype interview said 160 and 168, he should move up to 160, 168. Which tells me that they're trying to plan maybe a Canelo versus Errol Spence fight. I'm sure that Canelo, if he wanted to, could maybe come down to to 160 4, right? And have this little catch weight with Errol Spence. I think if he wanted to, he could do that. Because Canelo's already little for what he's already little for where he's at right now. He's kind of little. He's not actually a legitimate 168. I would not watch that fight. You would not watch Canelo versus Errol. That's crazy. I would watch it. I would still watch. I'll still support. Crawford versus Inoue. LOL. Bro, do you know boxing? LMAO. Are you J. Lou? Are you talking to me if I know boxing? Yes, I know boxing. Do you know that people have jumped 20 pounds before in boxing? That's been done. That's been done many times. This would not be the first time that somebody's done it. Like I said, Manny Pacquiao has gone a bunch of different weight classes. Floyd Mayweather has moved 5 different weight classes. Oscar De La Hoya did 5 different weight classes. So people have done it. So if Bud was to make it up to, or if Errol Spence was to make it up to Canelo's weight of 168, he would only be moving a few weight classes up in comparison to what people from the past have done. And he's already supposedly not even comfortable at 147. So he could probably move up and do much better, be much more comfortable. We don't know how high he can go. But people have done it in the past. So if you knew boxing, you would know that these things have been done. People have done it. I'm going to be honest, I don't think the rematch will sell as good as the first fight. Me personally, I still pay for it. Yeah, I'll still pay for it too, but it's not going to have the luster, right? A lot of people won't. It won't be watched. It's just like the Wilder Fury. After the first one, that I think almost did 1 million or got close to 1 million, the subsequent ones had less views, even though the third one was the best one, right? But you don't know that until you watch the fight. So basically, the first one was super popular because of the intrigue of finally seeing Fury and Wilder. But after that, there's a luster that's gone. There's luster that's gone. Bud versus Mayweather. I still have Mayweather winning that argument in terms of him versus Bud because of his resume. I think Floyd Mayweather has one of the best resumes in boxing. Oh, you was talking. Oh, my bad, J Loud. My bad. I see it over here. I didn't catch up yet, but I see that you was saying that you was talking to somebody saying Inoue versus Crawford. Nah. Inoue versus Tank is a possibility. That's a possibility. Even that is a stretch. So imagine Crawford and Inoue. Yeah, that is way too far. But Inoue versus Tank is a possibility. And I think that if he could do the Tank fight, that he should definitely try. Like if he can get it, he should definitely try. But even from Inoue, it looks like he's saying that he's not going to do that either. So we'll see. Crawford's like 20 pounds over Inoue. Oh, I see it now. I just caught up. My fault. I'm catching up. I'm just answering some questions. I'm gonna catch up. Let me skip some so I get down to closest to the bottom. Yeah, Bud had to take the B-Hop Hagler route. Yeah, he did take the B-Hop Hagler route. Yeah, I would say that. Hagler and Bud Crawford is pretty similar because Hagler wanted his big super fight with Sugar Ray Leonard. And then after he got that super fight, he just stopped boxing. But he lost, so that's the little bit of a difference. He lost, but after he got that fight, he just he stopped. But that was the fight that really put him over as popular. He was very popular though, so it's not exactly the same. But he literally did get it from the mud through boxing. Hagler did get it from the mud through boxing, as opposed to, for example, Sugar Ray Leonard. He was already making millions of dollars from like his first fights, because he was an Olympic gold medalist. And that was really popping back then to be a gold medalist. It was like, I think up until, unfortunately, when Andre Ward won the gold medal, that's when people stopped caring so much about the gold medal. So poor Andre Ward, it didn't work in his favor. But before Andre Ward, winning the gold medal was almost ensured, like it almost ensured that you would have a set level of popularity going into your fights. even before you went pro, going into becoming pro. I blame Top Rank. Yeah. I mean, I think that he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. And I think that Bob Arum was setting up a Manny Pacquiao fight for him. But because of what happened with the pandemic, that fell through. Had the pandemic not happened, he would have fought Manny Pacquiao, and it would have been, maybe he would have gotten some luster from that, some like from that. But unfortunately, that never happened. And then things fell apart, and then the pandemic whole thing where there weren't crowds anymore, that stopped. But then Manny Pacquiao was a little bit of on a hiatus. He came back. He fought, Ugas. He lost to Ugas, and all of that just ended up just not making the fight between Crawford and Manny Pacquiao come together. I hate Mel jumped up to fight Canelo. If Mel gets knocked out and then is drained coming back to 154, Crawford won't get his credit for destroying him. Yeah, there's gonna be that talk is gonna happen, right? That is going to be a talking point if he goes up and fights Canelo, he's probably gonna lose, right? I'm predicting Canelo to beat Jermell. But if he goes up and fights Canelo, loses and comes down, they're gonna say, he's really in a win-win situation in terms of having things prepared so that his ego could remain intact. Even if he loses to Canelo, it's like, bro, you don't got nothing to be ashamed of. You move 2 weight classes to fight Canelo. You're good, right? Like there's that argument. But if he wins, it's like, bro, you just did an amazing thing. If he wins, that would really put a big shining star on top of that fight versus him and Bud Crawford. But he's still in his back pocket has the whole thing where it's like, oh, but, I had to come down after going up. Even though, in reality, he walks around at that weight, right? He walks around at 168. He walks around at 168, so he could make 168 just by being himself, right? Just by being himself, he can make 168. But that's always going to be a argument that people use because people just look at stuff in a very with blinders on. They don't actually look at the big picture. If they did, they would see that he doesn't even have to work on weight loss because a lot of times there's a lot of time taken or looked at or focused on the weight loss portion when you have to get down and training. Now he could just train and not even focus on weight loss. So that's actually going to be beneficial to him. And then he could just lose the weight as he normally does to get to 154 to fight Terence Crawford. So he's really going to be fine, but it's going to be sold to us like he's draining himself. He's doing this and that. He's really going to be okay. He's going to be fine. Remember, him and his brother are twins. Him and Jamal are twins, genetic twins. So Jamal being at 160 is because he just wants to be at a different weight class than his brother. And no boxer ever fights at the weight that they there's a big distance between the weight that they walk around and the weight that they actually fight. There tends to be a big difference. Bud Crawford said he was 166 or something like that. They asked him, what's your weight now? And it was like a few days removed from the fight. He's like, oh, I'm sore because my body's stretching from the dehydration. I'm around 166 right now. So imagine what Jamal is where he fights at 160. And then Jermell being a twin of Jamal, he's probably just shrinks himself even further to 154 to be in a different division than his brother. I think he'll be comfortable at 168, to be honest. I truly believe he'll be comfortable at 168. I said it for years, and so it was that Bud was too dynamic for Spence, and it wouldn't be close. But I can't lie, I didn't think it was going to be that bad of a beating. Yeah, the way he dominated him was one of those things where it was like, yo, that's crazy. But I did expect him, like you said, like the same way you were expecting it to happen. I did expect him to outclass him and have more tools in the toolbox. And I knew that a fighter that has the ability to adjust, where we've seen it, where he had to use it, like he did with Gamboa and all these different fighters, that's more telling of somebody who's not willing to lose or has different things to remain undefeated than when somebody just wins by always using their one thing, by out-bullying you. I get a lot of flack for saying this about Manny, but Manny was one of the better bully fighters that we've seen. And he didn't have that many things going for him in terms of a tool set. He just had good hand speed, awkward punch, the way he throws his punches, where he kept them straight like a hammer. So he would blade through a lot of the stuff, and then his angling. But once you took that away from him, he didn't have much after that. He couldn't figure out other things to do. But he was one of the greatest at doing the thing that he was doing. So he beats 99% of people in the world just doing him. And Errol Spence was the same way. It's the same thing. He beats most people in the world just by being Errol Spence Jr. Most people can't beat him if he's Errol Spence Jr. But then there's people like Bud Crawford that'll figure out ways to nullify what you're doing. And then what else are you going to do after that? If that's your thing, that's the only thing you got. And Manny, yes, every boxer got little things that they do that's smart. But there's levels to like being able to adjust on the fly to what's happening in real time, and it's a real true adjustment that changes the dynamic of the fight. Can you adjust yourself and do something different? And people like Spence and Manny Pacquiao, I don't think that they can. I think that their thing is that they're one of the greatest at doing their thing, whatever it is. Like Errol Spence, a lot of volume. So does Manny Pacquiao, a lot of volume. And I think that came back to bite them when they fought somebody like an Eric Morales, for example, that was nice and smart and doing different things. It has a few layers to him, right? And of course, when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez and Mayweather, you see the flaws of just relying on that super athleticism and that ability to punch so much. You see the flaws rear its ugly head. How do you see Crawford versus Charlo? I see Crawford beating Charlo. I would say by knockout. Even at 154, I would say by knockout. Yeah, it's nothing Spence can do other than the puncher's chance KO. Yeah, that's still going to be difficult. We got Geddon's Gaming Corner. What up, Box Fanatico? Just got here. What's going on, bro? Bud is definitely one of the all-time greats, but top 5, 10, 20, 30, I don't know. I think he need more big fights. Yeah, I agree, Geddon's. I agree. I definitely think he needs more fights, and that's why it's tough. It's tough to see him, it's tough because he's a product of just the politics and the times, right? I feel like Mayweather was so fortunate to have Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, Diego Corrales, Hernando Hernandez, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, right? Maidana. Like, he was so fortunate to have those people that he could fight so that he could build the resume that he built. And he built an amazing resume. That's why it's hard for me to put Bud above Floyd. Now, in terms of accomplishments, I don't know if they actually fought who would win. It's tough because they both are master of adjustments. And I personally believe that Floyd Mayweather is the greatest adjustment fighter in the history of the sport. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, but I do believe that if you think that he's not the greatest fighter ever, that's fine. That's okay. I don't personally think that he is either. But I do believe that Floyd is the greatest adjustment fighter that we've ever seen. And all you got to do is watch his fights. He's been forced to adjust so many different times in his fights, in so many different fights, and he does it every time. And he does something different every time. I think that when done at the highest level, the way he did it, and for every single time that he needed to do it, he did it. That's just like a really, like that's super telling to me. So to me, he's the greatest adjustment fighter I've ever seen. But Bud Crawford is also an amazing adjustment fighter. But I haven't had to see Bud do it as much as I have seen Floyd do it. Losing weight does help for build stamina, so we'll see. Oh yeah, that's true. It helps your lungs when you're losing weight. Your cardiovascular system is improved when you're losing weight. So that is true. It does help build stamina. Inoue versus Tank is a great fight. I think Inoue can beat Tank if he signs a switch stance clause and can only fight Tank in southpaw stance. I believe Inoue can do it. I think Inoue can beat Tank even if he signs a switch stance clause. That's hilarious. Why would they even do that? Let me go. I skipped a few to try to get to the bottom, to closer to the bottom. Kawhi over here saying we definitely ain't getting red. He's far up. Nah, I swear I came all the way down. So let's see what you're saying, Kawhi. Are you just saying that I'm not going? Floyd was gonna win. Floyd was gonna win what? What fight? The Manny fight. Manny runs through Floyd in 2009. The fight is completely different. Nah. Money wise, it made sense that they didn't fight in 2009. I think 2010 was really when it was about to happen. But it fell through. He ended up fighting Juan Manuel Marquez instead. But I think that Manny was outboxed before Floyd. Manny was essentially outboxed by Juan Manuel Marquez. And even if you want to say, no, he wasn't, because they didn't give, he tied the first fight by a numerical error. But however, other than that first round, Juan Manuel Marquez started coming back and was really doing good work. So that was a weird fight where it was back and forth. In the second fight with Marquez, you could argue Marquez won the fight, but they gave it to Manny Pacquiao. The third fight, same thing. It was so close. It could have gone either way. It was like a Lomachenko, Devin Haney, the second and third. And then the fourth, he got knocked out cold. This was all before Floyd. And even if you go back to 2000, like earlier, right, 2009, even before then, before 2009, he was outboxed by Eric Morales. So if Eric Morales, who's a good boxer, but if Eric Morales could outbox him at that time, and his excuse was something like that, they drew blood or whatever, but that was just an excuse. Same thing how he said his shoulders hurt when he fought Floyd. Manny, like, yes, he's a great guy or whatever, but he always has excuses when he loses. Like, there's always an excuse that he brings himself, right? Not even that the fans are bringing, that he brings himself. But he got outboxed early on, before Floyd. Floyd is the best boxer in that era, during that time frame. I think Floyd would have still been able to beat him, and probably easier because of the fact that Floyd would have been more athletic. He would be more snappier. Reflexes would have been better in 2009 or 2010, in my opinion. Loses to Floyd 10 out of 10 times. Floyd would be whooping him. Crawford beats Floyd. Floyd would never have taken a Crawford fight had they both been in the same era. No, if they were in the same era, Floyd and Crawford would have fought. If Floyd and Crawford, why wouldn't Floyd fight Crawford when he fought everyone else that was a superstar? He fought every superstar. He fought Oscar De La Hoya. He fought Shane Mosley. He fought Miguel Cotto. He fought Canelo Alvarez. He fought Manny Pacquiao. He fought Maidana. Right? Victor Ortiz was getting a little bit of buzz. He fought Victor Ortiz. Everybody who was a star, he fought because he wanted to do $1 million pay-per-views. You're not going to do $1 million pay-per-views without what's called a dance partner. And the only way somebody's a dance partner is if they're actually really good. Miguel Cotto was only a dance partner because he was super popular within the Puerto Rican community and the New York community and just around the world. It bled through around the world because he was a good Puerto Rican fighter. So Oscar De La Hoya was popular and he fought Oscar De La Hoya, but Oscar De La Hoya was only popular because he was really good. He was a multi-divisional champion. So in my opinion, he fought every single person that he possibly could have fought that was at the highest level. He fought Ricky Hatton when Ricky Hatton was undefeated. He didn't wait. Like, even when people say, oh, he waits for them to get older or younger or whatever. he fought Ricky Hatton when Ricky Hatton was in his peak prime. A Ricky Hatton, by the way, that beat Kasazu. A Ricky Hatton, by the way, that who beat Kasazu, where they said Floyd Mayweather was scared to fight Kasazu. But Ricky Hatton was way more popular and beat Kasazu and was undefeated. And Floyd beat him. But when people tell the story, they say, oh, he ducked Kasazu. But what's the point of fighting Kasazu? If he would have fought Kasazu, what they would have said was, why didn't you fight Ricky Hatton? And they would have chastised him for that because Ricky Hatton at the time was undefeated, with more wins than Floyd Mayweather at the time. He was the pride of the UK at the time. Hey, you seen Shakur body shot set up against Caraballo? Oh, yeah. I seen every single Shakur fight. I even saw him in the Olympics when it was happening, when he was in the Olympics. Crawford ain't doing nothing against Floyd, my man. I think it will be a tough fight. I think it will be one of his toughest fights. I just think that right now I would give the edge to Floyd, but I do think that it will be probably his toughest fight ever. I do believe that because he's not a straight up and down guy. He has the special effects, right? He has that extra layer. He has that boxing IQ, the boxing instincts, the ability to adjust. He's not just an up and down kind of fighter. And if he fights somebody that's not an up and down kind of fighter, he's gonna have some trouble. There's gonna be some trouble there. So I think Crawford would give Floyd some trouble if they were to fight, if they were to have fought when they were both in their primes. But right now, because of accomplishments and resume, I would have Floyd a bit above, like a favorite, but also his ability to adjust. The thing that's so crazy is that they're both super masterful at adjustments. But I do think that Floyd is the greatest one to ever do that in the ring. Say what you want about Tank. He can box and he can make it a dogfight. Yeah, he's definitely a good boxer. Game over. Another thing that makes Bud special is how he wins. It's so decisive. It's no need for rematches or anyone calling it. Yeah, Bud is the only fighter that every single fight, there's no question that he won it. The only fighter that every single fight, there's no question. If there was going to be a question, like Sean Porter, for example, he knocked him out. So there's never a fight that you could look at and be like, oh, well, that's the one where he got robbed, where they robbed him. Everybody else has fights like that. Terence Crawford is the only one that doesn't. Even Floyd has fights like that. Terence is the only one that doesn't. And Ricky came up to 147 to fight Floyd. Yep, Manny got outboxed by a few guys, but Floyd also got caught with big shots by guys like Chop Chop, yep, Zab and Mosley. Yeah, he could have gotten caught by Manny, and his power was different. He did get caught by Manny. He got caught by Manny. He got hurt by Manny in the fight. But we found out early on in his career that he also, which is devastating to the rest of the pro boxers at the time, he also has an insane chin and an ability to withstand punishment. So when he got rocked and we saw what happened, he still doesn't fall. He still remains standing. He still figures out a way to stay there. And then he adjusts from he'll take it away from you. Manny got some smart stuff that he was able to do. But at the end of the day, I don't think that he would have had enough, even with the power, to take Floyd out. Because Floyd's chin, and he's younger in 2010. So his chin would have held up even better in 2010 than it did in 2015. The only guy Mayweather didn't fight was Paul Williams at 147. Nah. Ask anybody who thinks that Mayweather's whole career was invalid. He didn't fight Antonio Margarito. He didn't fight Kasazu. He didn't fight Keith Thurman. He didn't fight Paul Williams. There's a lot of people he did not fight. There's a lot of people he did not fight. And the reason, you know what I'm saying? Like the reason they say this to me is weird. They just want to discredit Floyd. But in reality, Floyd fought. Floyd has, like, contrary to what people want to believe, Floyd has one of the best resumes in boxing history. And you don't even have to go by, this guy's this guy's that. His record of consecutive champion defeats, beating champions consecutively, and the amount of champions that he's beaten has yet to be broken by anybody. Granted, it was really hard to do it in the olden times. But during the modern times, anywhere from the 80s, it could have been done. And people still never did it. And post Mayweather, it's already 2023 and no one has yet to do it. I think he beat 23 world champions. People have not done that. You can have 300 wins or 250 wins, whatever the old time guys had. But they're fighting every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and they're like nobody guys. They're not always fighting these super like big, like dangerous fights. But Floyd was beating world champion after world champion after world champion after world, and ended up doing 23 world champions, which is a record that still stands to this day. That still stands to this day. You guys can't ask me nothing about Undisputed, guys. You can't see. You guys can't ask me nothing about Undisputed. Undisputed is only on their platform. I can only talk about it on their platform. Spence not natural. He uses his jab to get in, and when he is in, he goes to the body and corners them. Spence not natural. No, a lot of people using a jab to get in is a smart thing to do, especially people that have a shorter reach. They tend to like to use their jab to get in. And it's just a way to get on the inside safer while keeping people's guards at bay or keeping them blinded by your movement. So using the jab is a very versatile tool. It's used for so many things. And getting on the inside is one of those things. But really, his thing that was very powerful for him was he was pretty good at picking his shots, but he also had the volume. So you got overwhelmed to the point where you lost because he just overwhelmed you with all this activity. But Crawford had the tools to circumvent that tactic. And when he did that, there was nothing else that Errol Spence had to adjust to that. Like Floyd, for example, will use the shoulder roll for counters. And there will be people that take that away from Floyd. But if all Floyd was a shoulder roll fighter, he would have lost many fights. He would have lost his fight with Zab Judah. He would have lost his fight with Ricky Hatton. But he's not just a shoulder roll fighter. He has so many different things he could do. If you take the shoulder roll away from Floyd, he's doing other things. Zab Judah took the shoulder roll away from Floyd. He still was doing other things. He was still doing other things. I think Bud beats Floyd by KO in a fight that he's behind on the cards. KOing Floyd that's a mountain of a task. I mean, he's fought way bigger guys than him. He's little. He's not really a 154 fighter. But he's fighting a comfortable 154 Miguel Cotto, who's a power puncher. And still not falling. He's getting cracked where any other man would fall, and he's not falling. He has too good defense, and then if you got past the almost impenetrable defense of his overall defense, he has a crazy solid chin. There's too much to ask for somebody to knock him out. For me to feel comfortable that Crawford would have knocked Floyd out or have the potential to knock Floyd out, he would have had to have knocked almost everybody he ever fought out. Not just people at welterweight. He would have to have knocked almost everybody he ever fought out for me to feel comfortable that that's a possibility. Floyd's chin is incredibly underrated because rarely did people get to his chin. Floyd beat a lot of world champions. Yes, he did. Paul Williams used to be my favorite fighter. He was a beast of a fighter. He was a beast of a fighter. How you see how Bivol let his hands go on Charlo on him? Charlo gonna do the same thing. Charlo is great in the late rounds. Or you think Charlo gonna do the same thing to Canelo? We'll see. We'll see. Right now, if we're counting the Jake Paul fight, I'm at a 7-fight prediction streak. So I don't know. I'm predicting that Canelo will win against Jermell, but we'll see. Let's see. All right. Big means nothing. Bud has power and speed to deliver it. He's patient and skilled enough to catch Floyd. I do know about Floyd's chin. I know, but you know who else was really skilled and had power? Miguel Cotto. He was really skilled and had good power to land those crazy body shots, those crazy knockout shots. He did it to a bunch of fighters. But Floyd went through that fight while being smaller, because that adds another layer to it, right? Because if the person's knocking out people, if Inoue is knocking out people, but then goes up to fight Floyd at 147, is he going to knock out Floyd? Is it going to be that easy? Probably not. So it's just the fact that he was smaller and it was a big puncher who was skilled. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, Floyd would probably be able to withstand Crawford's punches, especially since Crawford didn't knock every single person that he's ever fought. If any of those other guys that he's beating on was able to withstand his punches, I think that Floyd will be able to do it too. Why can't Shakur land the fight? So right now, which by the way, I think I have it here. I'm about to end the stream. We're already 17 minutes past. But let me see. Right now, Shakur Stevenson is calling out Vasily Lomachenko. He's saying, man, Vasily Lomachenko, I used to have a lot of respect for you, but you just as scary as everybody else I see. You rather retire than get in the ring with me. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people say, oh, no, he's not retiring. Why is he saying that he's retiring? He never said he was going to retire. Not saying something publicly is one thing. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and we do know that they have the same promoter. So Shakur is probably like, yo, Bob, set that fight up. Because I also see people saying, yo, why is he not just telling Bob? Why is he not just telling Bob to set the fight up? Why is he saying it? You think he's just going to write something randomly? I'm pretty sure he's talked to Bob and he's asking Bob, yo, can you set up the fight with Lomachenko? And then Bob is coming back to him and saying, Lomachenko is telling us that he's probably going to retire since he didn't get the Devin Haney fight. That is a possibility, right? Or it could just not be that. And Shakur is just blowing up smoke. But I can't see the incentive for him to say that in a public space and tag Lomachenko. And then Lomachenko has yet to respond. Although Lomachenko has been responding to all the different things that has been said, he has yet to respond. It seems that this is very plausible. It seems that Lomachenko is probably trying to retire. They both have the same promoter. So the communication is not lacking between the two. They both literally have the same promoter. It's not a cross-promotional fight. So if that information is behind the scenes, Shakur might be privy to that information. All right, I wanted to speak to you about this. Loma is what? A duck. Like I said, and Shakur should have taken that 25%. He's not going to get a big fight. It's sad because I got Shakur over everyone. Yeah, I mean, if Loma doesn't fight Shakur and he retires, that will definitely come off as, it will be viewed as a duck because he was ready to fight Devin Haney, but then he's not going to fight Shakur. One thing that is a negative and a positive for Shakur is that he keeps sparring all of these world champions and all these high-level fighters, and then they notice how good he is, and they don't want to fight him in real life. like or in the pro fight, because they realize he's gonna probably beat them. And the way he was talking after coming from the sparring session with Lomachenko was that he seemed very confident. He seemed very confident, like he was able to get the better of Lomachenko. So it's tough, but I would view it as a duck, unfortunately, if he retires. We don't know yet, right? Because this is just Shakur saying it. It could be something that's being contemplated. They could be contemplating retirement, whatever. We don't know for sure. We'll have to see what Lomachenko says. If Lomachenko comes out and says, yeah, I'm going to retire, then it's going to be viewed as a duck. But people are still going to say, hey, he doesn't need to fight him. Look everything he did. And they're going to point to he felt that he was robbed in the Devin Haney fight. There's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff too. I just read this, and then I went up and I saw he said he should have sparred with all these guys. They already know. Yeah, it was like it was his strategy that they used as he was growing up. He had championship level sparring as a little kid, which is what makes him so ahead of his time and so good, so young. But yeah, he's like. He's obsessed with doing it, and it's coming back to bite him now. People don't want to fight him because they know they felt like how difficult he was. And Inoue is honestly getting overlooked because of his weight class. People wanted to fight Fulton. Him to fight Fulton, thought he would lose. He beat Fulton. Now people saying it's not enough. Yeah, it's sad because the lower weight classes is always tough. It's always tough to, you know what I'm saying, because they're small. They all fight each other down there. They all fight each other. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. Quine, I just was reading it. You can't ask me questions. You know I can't. No, I can't go live to play the view. I can't do that, man. I can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do Undisputed on here at all, Quine. So we're going to go ahead and end the stream here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back, of course, on Friday. So it's every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 7 p.m. We're back from the vacation, so we're definitely going to be on our grind here on Boxing Fanatico Live. And we're going to keep following this Shakur Stevenson-Lomachenko situation to see what happens. Who's Shakur gonna fight next? If it isn't Lomachenko, it'll be very underwhelming in my opinion for the WBC title if he doesn't fight Lomachenko. But we're gonna have to wait and see. All right, guys. Until the next one, peace out. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on Friday.